It's that time again. It's flat earth time. Yeah.
Look up into the sky. I sees circles. I believe in the tin can floating about in space, going from extreme temperature to extreme temperature for nearly 20 years. And they have spacewalks and nothing ever goes wrong because they're superhumans. Yay, NASA! To think that metal and wires and all these components are up there going at 17,500 miles an hour from extreme heat to extreme cold to extreme heat to extreme cold. And every mission, every spacewalk, not a problem, everything's cushy. Cuckoo, cuckoo.
How much time have you spent praying about this? And how much time have you spent researching it and looking into the Word of God about what it says on the matter? And a lot of people bring up planets and things like that, say, oh, well, if you look in a telescope, you know, all these planets are spherical. And it's like, yeah, if you do look at them in your own telescope, not these CGI fake photos from NASA, they look just like stars, kind of like big stars that like a big light bulb, really cool looking, but they don't look like terra firma or anything like that. And just because something looks like something in the sky, that doesn't mean that that's what we're on. And the model I believe in is like a snow globe where we're a fixed flat plane. And then there's a dome, a protective dome, like the Bible says.
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class! Do you believe in a flying spaghetti monster too, bubblehead?
I'm going to read a little more about the flat earth. Here's why. I may never believe the earth is flat, but I may learn a lot of things from it that may help me understand my Bible in ways that I could never understand it before.
I have done my research, just like you guys out there. I have watched the flat earth videos and the information and the different people. I have watched the round earth ones, okay? And looked at the different websites and things to see what are the arguments, what are the points, you know, for or against, what do they even got to stand on to say this or that, right? Either way. Now, I want to tell you that in this research, there are some people, and this is where I'm praying that you grow spiritually. There are some people that are maybe truthers, or maybe they're pretending to be truthers, because remember, the Illuminati plays both sides.
Appears a canopy of water deluged a flat and circular earth, and the waters are contained within an outer edge of ice or Antarctica. Genesis 1 verses 6 to 8, Genesis 7 verses 3 to 4, Job 9, 6 to 7, Psalm 122, 25, Proverbs 8, 29, Isaiah 48, 13, Jeremiah 31, 37, Amos 5, 8, Zechariah 12, 1, Hebrews 1, 10.
I'm not a fanatic. I don't believe stuff just because it's in the Bible. But I do appreciate the information that's in the Bible. I think that a lot of it is actually accurate and useful. There's a whole list of things that can be explained with the flat earth theory, and a whole list of things that you can also explain with the globe theory. But the problem is that the globe theory has a lot of problems that you can explain with that theory. And you know, a ship going over the horizon does not mean that you're on a sphere. It doesn't. It means that you can't see the ship anymore because it's so far away from you. Obviously, the atmosphere becomes thicker the further away something is, and if you grab a pair of binoculars, you can see the ship suddenly appear again miraculously above the horizon. So I'm just saying it's not proof. We have to remember, we have to understand that proof is different from your assumptions based on facts that were supposed to be based on a theory that were invented for the theory. I mean,
This is pretty cool.
The Creator created the earth flat and stationary, we don't move. And if you teach correct science to your children, then you can observe not what they teach in a book, which is nonsense, you know, something that you can see. You'll start to think correctly. But that sun being so close to the moon should completely illuminate the moon. It's that close. And yet the moon, no, the moon is its own light source. If it was a reflection, that sun would make that moon completely bright.
The resistance and the anger level is just disproportionate to the situation, in my opinion. And so I've only believed, fully convinced in this topic since December of last year. So, you know, I'm still learning like everyone else. But I do know that when I finally did watch my first 5-minute video, you know, whoop-de-doo, it only took 5 minutes. I discerned immediately, this is the truth, you know? And then I watched another documentary. It was like a 30-minute one. I said, yep. And I said, that's amazing. And I had the most amazing feeling. And I try to tell people, like, this topic is not like the other conspiracy theories. It's not like 9/11 where you're like, oh, I can't sleep. The government wants to kill me. This is like, wow, I feel so at peace. I feel so protected. I feel so soothed right now. You know, that God in his creation is so beautiful and we are protected and it's only us in the universe. You know, there's not trillions of other galaxies and, you know, they lie to us about what aliens are. And
when we look at this with the fake moon landing, okay, and there's videos and stuff out there, and then just like I was like, okay, well, we didn't even go to the moon. It's all been a pack of lies. That when you start following a ministry like this and you start learning about all kinds of stuff they lied about, you start questioning everything, and you should question everything, okay? And so when that starts happening, then I reached the point where I was like, okay, well, we didn't go to the moon. NASA's nothing but lying, and I threw it all out the window, right? Because our own government staged 9/11 and paid for that. And I did a message on that. Those planes that supposedly got used, the serial numbers are still in use right now. Okay, there weren't no planes that went down. But it doesn't mean lives weren't lost. But remember, the Illuminati count that as just sacrifices because they knew about it ahead of time and they don't really care.
When we bring things back down to Earth level, we know that the Earth is spinning on its axis at 1,038 miles per hour, while the speed of sound is about 750 odd miles per hour. So it's almost 1.5 times the speed of sound. That's pretty fast. And it's going around the sun in its annual trip. This is how big everything is in the solar model, the heliocentric model. It's going 66,600 miles an hour around the sun. Let's say 666. Now when you look at the tilt that it's on, 23.4 degrees from the 90, the other angle of that is also 66.6 degrees. So this is why the heliocentric model is considered by most people who investigate it the Luciferian model. It's all about sun worship, Lucifer being the bringer of light, the sun, the powerful angel of God, who we've placed on the throne of God while ignoring who and what God really is.
when people call me those things, I know it's not them saying it. It is a spirit. You know, our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against, you know, spirits. And so I also tell people, if you want to see a spirit manifest sometimes, mention that you're, you know, praying or reading the Bible and seeing if the earth is flat and you're questioning the globe, because some people, they freak out. It's scary. I feel like I've seen demons manifest where people get so angry that just me saying I am questioning NASA, I'm questioning this, and I'm praying to God about it. Like, I feel like these people are going to punch a hole in the wall or something.
When they formed NASA, remember whenever they busted up Hitler with all his junk over there and they ended the World War II and all that stuff, and then you had all these so-called doctors and stuff over there which weren't doing nothing but experiments on the people, torturing them and killing them and seeing what happens if we do this, what happens if we do that. I mean, I read one experiment was so sick that for weeks they didn't give these people no water, no food, nothing. And these people were having to lick up the mopped floor with that bleach. And they were so thirsty, they were licking the floor. And they didn't last very long, because you're going to get dehydrated. You're going to be a goner. And you sure ain't going to survive on bleach. So those people We here in the USA, not us, but them, said, oh, we want y'all. Come on over here. And what did we do with them? We employed them in our universities. We employed them in our doctor's offices. We put them right up in NASA. We put them right up in the military. We gave them government positions, and we write them out nice big fat payroll checks to come over here and continue their experiments and their torture and everything else that they were doing under Hitler right over here in the United States. We said, yeah, we want some of that perpetrated on us. Come on over here. Okay, you can study into NASA and you can see some big name German Nazis that came right into NASA when they formed that. Now, so that's where you got to get your mindset around who is NASA and what are they about. And remember, we've already talked about how the FBI, the CIA, NSA, all of them people, the alphabet companies, they're all been infiltrated because they're all Masons.
That's what I think is demonic, is that because it doesn't matter if I said the earth is hot pink triangle with cream cheese stuffed in the center. You, as a Christian, are supposed to love me and respond with grace and gentleness.
We know the stuff you know. We know the sphere Earth theory. We know heliocentrism. Yes, we went to the planetarium. Yes, we read the science books. I'm yet to find a single flat earther who doesn't know that stuff. And in fact, it would shock me if there's anyone out there who doesn't understand inherently, from a young age, what it's like to understand the globe model of the earth.
So, I mean, to me, the flat earth makes sense because I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, okay?
It's not that we think the earth is flat. Obviously, the earth is not flat. There's pits and valleys and all that. It's the plane. It's a plane. It's a flat plane. And even astrophysicists will tell you that the holographic world model is that everything arises from a 2D level plane and it's projected holographically. Now, if you imagine two bubbles like merging together, when they touch, they're going to form a flat plane between them. You put all these different bubbles together and you have hexagons forming, like a beehive, for example. And anyway, between those two bubbles is a flat plane, and if they're both spinning in different directions, they will create a vortex in the middle, and then you'll have like a wormhole between the two of them, right? You'll have one world on the bottom and one on the other, and they'll be oppositely charged. They'll be completely polar opposites. So that's kind of the model that I have in my mind. It's a toroidal field of two, yin and yang, yin and yang, and the Pisces, that's like a Pisces, thank you, I had to think of it real quick. The fleur de lis, the Holy Grail, it is the cup of Christ. It is that vortex that opens on one end, the flower of life, okay? It's the flower of life, and it's one dimensional or two dimensional in that it's a flat plane, and yet from all that motion and spinning and everything, it's creating a hologram. And the sun and the moon are just part of that whole hologram, that whole holographic model. And the stars above that someone would see from that flat plane would just be looking up at a plasma field, a bubble that's just spinning around your head. And so, if you explain things that way, it kind of makes more sense. You just have to realize that it's physics.
All you need to explain gravity is not this power of attraction of mass, because if we brought in the power of the attraction of mass, there's that little moon spinning around Earth, while Earth is spinning on its axis going around the sun, and it's all held together by gravity. Gravity does this. It makes things stick. It's called density, and things just fall until they reach something of equal or greater density. They find their flat and level place. And it's only when it's acted upon by an external force, like picking it up. But if I drop it again, it will just sink to its common level, density. Buoyancy works the opposite in, say, fluids. So if things contain enough air within them, doesn't matter what their weight is, it's density and buoyancy. You know, if you took an iron ball the same weight as a massive container ship and put that in the water, it will sink because it's containing no air. But because these big ships are mostly full of air, the buoyancy then allows them to float. Density and buoyancy takes the place of gravity. Gravity was invented by the heliocentrists so that people could be sticking to the bottom of the spinning ball and not fall off, not go flying off into space.
Explanations. Yeah, you know, that to me sounds crazy. It's got the power of gravity. You know, okay, it pulls the water to the earth, but all humans are about 86% water. How come they're not flat on the ground going, I can't move? Help me, Jesus, I can't move. The power of gravity. Oh no, right?
How long, and it's now 2017, I'm a flat earther. How long did it take me to be able to say that for my, and not feel afraid, to have enough knowledge to say that it makes more sense that it's flat than it's not? A long time, about 2 years, 1,000 hours of researching Aristotle and Copernicus and Eratosthenes and all those who helped us figure out that it was a ball. All their experiments with lead balls on the floor proving that the gravity between these lead balls and measuring the constant, Planck's constant, I believe that one is. So I'm well learned in your ball earth mechanics, as is every flat earther, way better than you are.
This is basically what it looks like when you plot this on a globe, and this is at the very same time. So either the sun is in 4 distinct directions, or maybe the sun is about here.
But for me, I got to keep it simple. I can't, because my brain doesn't grasp a whole lot of things that well. The water's there because it's flat and it's level and it's not rocket science. You know, I put water in one of the plates I have, and it stays there. It's simple.
This first astronaut guy they experimented with on a massive sized vacuum chamber where they'd made somewhere in the States, because they've got billions of dollars to spend on this sort of shit, because they really believe in outer space and space exploration. So they did it with, again, I'm not great on the details, I just know what happened. You can look it up and research it and verify it for yourself. The first guy that they did it to, put him in his spacesuit, turned on the vacuum. He passed out, mate, to turn it off to save his life quickly, and he said the last thing he remembered before he passed out was this bubbling feeling on his tongue. So where you can actually feel the moisture in our bodies, and our bodies are around 80% moisture. He could feel himself boiling alive. So you cannot go into outer space in a vacuum and survive.
I probably sound really dumb. I probably sound like a lunatic. I probably sound like, you know, you might think I have like mental issues or don't take medication or whatever you want to say, but as soon as you've seen the stuff, you can't unsee it. It's sort of like, I mean, you show this to a kid and they're gonna be like, whoa.
I want to draw the public's attention to what may be an extremely egregious example of malfeasance, and just to help illustrate the gravity of the situation, imagine if the federal government gave $19.5 billion to Hollywood. I think we'd all be pretty upset by this. Well, there is a growing body of evidence that the International Space Station is not in outer space, but it's being filmed in a desalinated pool down here on Earth, and it's being falsely misrepresented. And this started with this phenomenon known as bubbles in space. If you search for it, you'll see many of these so-called spacewalks, which have been falsely misrepresented as live, as has been exposed many times on Facebook when they do their live ISS feeds. Bubbles out in space. Well, there's not supposed to be water up there. And it is known that the astronauts do train in these big underwater tanks. And so this body of evidence, and it's not just bubbles in space, there are harnesses or green screens, evidence of flights that are actually on parabolic flights, not in space. And if this is true, it's a big deal, because that's a lot of money that could be used for our own infrastructure or schools, whatever. So I'm drawing the attention to it because I think it's something that deserves to be looked at. Because if it's true, these bubbles in space might represent the smoking gun in probably the biggest hoax since global warming.